Today on Sci-Fi Fantasy Network, I am here with Brandon Sanderson, author of the Mistborn series and your new book, Shadows of Self. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the book?
Well, the thing is, it's the 5th book in the series, so I don't want to give too many spoilers, but it's the second kind of generation of characters in this world. There's a trilogy, and then a break of some time in world, and then we start a new one with Alloy of Law, and then Shadows of Self is the second on that. So it's kind of like an updated epic fantasy world. I had this cool idea where I was going to write an epic fantasy trilogy that felt very classical epic fantasy, and then jump forward and tell us another story in the world where it's modern technology. And this one's kind of 1900s, early 1900s technology. So
how long did that take for you to develop? Because you've developed one world and essentially you're developing a whole other world.
Right. It was actually a lot of fun because instead of developing from scratch, I had this, you're able to use the events of the first trilogy to become the foundation of like religion and mythology in a modern day setting. It's so fun. So it did take some work, but it was a blast.
Do you tend to work from a detailed plan, or do you just go for it?
I'm actually an outliner, so I like having a really good plan. In fact, I know what I'm doing. The next books in the series I usually have well plotted out long before I write the first one.
So how far ahead have you planned at this point?
This series I actually pitched to my editor as a trilogy of trilogies, past, present, future. Now, I actually ended up doing four sets. We've got the epic fantasy, we've got the kind of 1910s, I'm going to do 1980s level technology in the same world, and then the science fiction series, space opera, where the magic has become the means by which space travel is possible.
So, to new readers of your work, where would you suggest is the best place for them to jump in?
I would say start with the book Mistborn, also subtitled The Final Empire. This is what happens. It's an epic fantasy world where the Dark Lord won. 1,000 years ago, hero went on a quest to save the world and failed. Dark Lord took over, and the book's actually about a gang of thieves who decide, okay, that hero didn't save us, the prophecies were lies, we're going to do this our way. We're going to rob the Dark Lord silly, bribe his armies away, and overthrow the Empire. So it's kind of like a rebellion run by a bunch of people pulling a heist.
You also finished off the Wheel of Time series.
I did.
Can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
It was incredible. It was the hardest thing I've ever done professionally was work on those books, but I had been reading them since I was 15, so the opportunity to kind of step in and be part of it was hugely satisfying. It was a dream come true.
What's been the reaction like from the fandom?
Fandom has been very nice to me, and I've always been upfront with the fact that I'm a stepdad, right? It would be much better if Robert Jordan had been able to finish the series himself. Since he can't, I wanted a fan to be in charge of it, so when they asked me, I said yes, but I cannot do the job he would have done. And the fans acknowledge that, but they have really kind of banded around me. The reviews they've given of the books have been fantastic, and I've felt very welcome.
So what are you working on at the moment after the new book?
I'm working on a book called Oathbringer, which is the third of the Stormlight archive, which is my big, thick epic fantasy series. I usually don't recommend people starting there because Mistborn, the original trilogy, is complete and done, and people can then read a full trilogy by me, kind of get a sense for how I am as a writer and things like that before diving into something like the Stormlight archive that isn't complete yet.
Well, thanks very much for talking to us.
My pleasure.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Cheers.